So the British Army Infantry Bergen. Originally somebody wanted me to do kind of a bug out bag load out, and I don't really do them anymore because mine is so different. So what I thought I'd bring you instead is, can you make the foundation of a bug out bag and all its contents from an army surplus shop? So 4.5 kilos empty, start putting the stuff in, it creeps up that weight. If you don't fit these right, all the weight is on your shoulders. Usually a lot of lads won't even bother with this part here, and they'll get the green tape and tape it up so you don't even wear your hip pad and bear all the load onto your shoulders. These hip pads aren't generally serving any purpose to hold the weight, but the secret, I could have put it in the tips video, but I'm going to tell you now. On a civilian pack, you would wear the hip belt just around your hip. There's the top of my bone right there, and it would look something like that around the top. With Bergens, you fit them higher up. It sits on top of your iliac crest, this bone here, and under the rib cage here. So that space between rib cage and iliac crest, which is your hip bone, is where you actually wear a Bergen. That's why I've got an extra padded strap on mine. Let's fit this properly by lifting it up. Make sure it sits on top of my crest. Tighten up. And to prove a point, I'm going to undo the shoulder straps and just let it fall off my back. See, there is no weight at all on my shoulders, and shoulder ache with heavy kit is a pig. It really is. So all I'm doing is bringing it onto my back, tighten down the straps just enough so it doesn't fall off my back. I'm not pulling so tight on these that they're digging in to my shoulder. And like I said, just to prove it once again, I'll undo it. All the weight is down here above the hip bone and under my rib cage. You can send your pack off for tailoring, and that's where they can sew bits on, such as extra pouches, better shoulder straps, better back support, or you can just get rid of your Bergen entirely and invest in something a little larger, more like a ruck. Now rucks are generally thinner and taller, same kind of shape as your back, as where a Bergen is shorter, wider, more squat. And that's why I always think to myself that a Bergen works more like a backpack than a ruck. And I know technically it's called a ruck. You'd go on a ruck march, you tab with your ruck. So that is in people's psyche, that it is a ruck. But really, look at it. The pads sit level with my shoulders. A ruck wouldn't do that. So let's take it off and loosen all the straps as it comes off. Gee whiz, heavy. Now I did say before, you can either buy yourself a different Bergen when you pass out, or tailor your own. I've just started tailoring my own. I haven't sent them away to JJ's or Dragon Supplies or Dixie's Corner to have it done for me. I'm quite capable of tailoring my own. So my Bergen is going to start looking very different to yours, just because I tailor on certain pouches and things like that onto mine, and there's a mini series on that of how to tailor your own Bergen. So somebody asked me to build a bug out bag from surplus. So that's what I've done. I'm only using surplus. It's a good little criteria. One that I personally don't use. I kind of have a 50-50 mix for my bug out bag. It can have elements of surplus and elements of civilian kit to bring the weight down. But all the contents in here are military surplus that you can either buy online or in an actual physical surplus store. And these high street surplus stores are fast running out because the profit margin is small and the rental of the unit is high. It's almost not worth having a high street shop anymore. So if you do have a surplus store near you, support it. Even if that means putting 100 quid in your pocket, jumping on a train or a bus, it's a day out for you. And for 100 quid, you're going to just get a pile of stuff. Bergens like this are generally 30 to 60 pound depending on grade and condition. This is in outstanding condition. So I haven't bought everything out, only what is going to make shelter, insulation and cook set and a change of clothing. 120 litres should be enough for anyone, but like I said, in the British Army that is not enough space for what you're expected to carry, so you have to start stitching on extra pockets and pouches, and then you've got a little extra room for extra sundries. Oh guys, they're so nasty to put on. You won't believe how little in the face of things I have in here for such a heavy load. The sun's changed direction, so I'm gonna see if we can find a little better spot. Yeah, shelter, insulation, cook set. They're your basics of any survival, whether you've been made homeless, whether you're camping, army. If you look after them things, shelter, insulation, the ability to cook and eat, you're in good shape. And I have brought with me a luggage scale, so I'm going to weigh all the pack with the content. Let's take it off again. This is the spine of the Bergen. This is one of the first modifications that a lot of people make to the Bergen, is taking these off, swapping them out to wider straps. The wider your strap is, the less uncomfortable they are. Another bone of contention I find are the ribbons here. Yes, it is firm and secure, keep your pack rigid. I understand why they're there, but they are damn uncomfortable. They can stick in your back. But send it off to a Bergen tailor and he can tailor you on a pad on here with a breathable air mesh. You can actually go for a much more professional hip pad, which looks interesting. And if the price of doing these modifications with either JJ's or Dragon Supplies isn't too bad, I might have them done, have a look at the quality of their work, but I'm quite happy tailoring my own pockets and pouches onto the back. It's not difficult. Is your canteen. Nice chunky zipper, velcro, and I have the rectangular mess set in here. Actually, I'll remove this because I'm going to get a brew on. Like I said, shelter, insulation, cook set. That is part of the cook set. Another thing you might be able to get hold of, or you should be able to get hold of, is a different kind of mess kit. This is your bottle kit, 58, which has a plastic beaker for drinking, 1 litre of water, and This is a stainless steel cup for a hobo kit, survival, bugging out. You can do a lot in that. I could trap and hunt game, chop it up, put it in there, and once I boiled up the water to purify it in my 58, also butterfly handles, get the content into there, have sterilised water. And yes, you can get sterilising tablets and things like that, but again, we're just looking at what is available from the British surplus stores and the bare bones of a bug out bag, I guess. This is the rectangular mess tin that sat in on the front of the rectangular mess tin pouch on the Bergen, and because it is military surplus episode, I've bought my jet boil for instance, but you wouldn't get that in the surplus store. You'd have to buy that separate. The Hexi. Now this is old school hexamine stove. Runs on hexamine, looks like that, has the 58 ring holder, and I'm going to get a brew on right now because I'm gagging. I'm just going to get some of this hexamine, just enough for a brew, maybe break a block in half. So I can choose now to use the 58. Oh, this is crumbly, guys, absolutely crumbly. It's not good stuff. I could choose to boil this water I'm going to do for a drink now in either my rectangular mess tin or my 58 pack cup. I'm going to choose the 58 pack cup. I have done a boil test of both. It's a lot better burn and boil time using the cup along with the actual cup holder. I know a lot of people put it into the 45, the legs on the cooker. It's actually quicker doing it like this. There's a video of just that fact. We tested it with and without, and it was brought the water to the boil a lot quicker. It's there for a reason. Use it. Get some of this lit. Should go up quite quickly with it being so dry. Now the great thing about this little system for your bug out bag is it works on unlevel terrain. I don't worry about leveling anything off. I haven't bought a lid for that particular cup. I have got one, but then again, you can't buy the lids for the 58 cup in surplus stores. This is in my hobo set because I like to catch and hunt a rabbit, and this makes into an oven because it has a top on and I can bury it on hot rocks and hot coals, and 2 hours later I've got roast rabbit, which is why I like this. But I also like the 58, so yeah, tricky decision. Nice place for it. It is a large pocket, and if you wanted to know, will my basher go into this, my sleet sheet rain shelter, mine does. God, Bergens are nice to sit on when you got the right kit in. So, like I was saying in the beginning, shelter, insulation, cook set, change clothing. I could do that with a tent, a sleeping bag, an air pad. So I can get away with a civilian kit, which I call my hobo kit. If ever I was made homeless again, I'd probably be more likely to grab my hobo kit more than I would a bug out bag. A bug out bag, I'm thinking wilderness survival for months or maybe years, so my bug out bag has tooling in it, you know, to build a more permanent shelter structure rather than just sleep under a basher for a few nights with the intent to return home one day. Anyway, water's boiled. Got some hot chocolate. Just open this. Insulation. Again, two ways will be your sleeping bag and your clothing. And a lot of people will say, well, you don't sleep in your clothes, you'll be warmer. Well, people will say sleep in lightweight clothing, and I'm going to tell you right now, that is up to the individual. No two people have the same body mechanics, the same metabolism. Your weight and your age and the medication you're on are going to change them factors to whether you sleep warm or cold or not, regardless of how much insulation you have. So, sleeping bag, sleep sheet and clothing, and again the criteria has to be it had to have been purchased from a surplus store. Let's start here with one of the side pouches on the Bergen. Pull out the content. Now these here are side pocket liners. Now I'm kind of basing my bug out surplus kit around 95 pat. Why? Because it's accessible, it's cheap, and open it up to reveal the content. In mine are my Gore-Tex waterproofs and a waterproof smock with hood which is wired. You can see I can form any shape around my face I want. Great that if you're wearing a cap. If you wear a cap, it'll keep the rain out of your eyes. I suffer from that a lot. So it's a nice smock, this. And I always look for kit that has a toothed zipper. I've had that much problem with coil zippers that as soon as I find anything with a coil zip, I cut them out and sew in a toothed zip. People die in the cold every day, and it really does accelerate your chances of dying if you're wet and cold. Like you won't believe that it'll go through the roof how quick hypothermia can kick in. So why did I put my rain gear in a dry bag? It's not to keep my Bergen side pouch or pocket dry. I don't really care if it gets wet on the inside. Nobody likes to put wet gear on. Once it's aired and dried, then I can put it back in the bag, and then all that goes into the side of the Bergen. That takes up, I'd say, 2/3. The side pouches are where you would keep anything to hand. These are what we call a softy suit, thermally insulated, and the jacket. I tend to keep mine zipped up and put it on like a sweater, just because if I have cold fingers, I have poor dexterity to start doing that zip up, and I'm shaking. This way I can get it on straight away. You'll always find one of these in the Squaddies Bergen. They can be used like a sleeping bag liner. You put these on inside your sleeping bag. That will help elevate your body core. I have the newer version, it's a bit lighter. The pants section, like I said, usually generally gets left behind. Now I have a sleeping bag system, which is an over bag and an inner bag, and I did a video, I don't know if it's out yet, of what would I consider as best? A double bag system, which is a lightweight 1 kilo over bag, or just my main bag and softies. But all in all, these are not lightweight and they take up a bit of volume, but like I said, firm favourite. A lot of people still use this. That's both sides empty. Usually put my sleet sheet in the waterproof pocket as well. Okay, in here, anything you want to keep dry, get it bagged up, get them into dry bags or dry sacks. All my clothing here, this is an entire change for winter, which is spare jumper, trousers, underwear, as a bit of weight, because again I am only using 95 surplus. Other than that, like I said, it's just a one-piece sleeping bag. I'm going to combine it with either an overbag or the softies. I haven't decided because I haven't had enough testing out of it, but it's pretty lightweight for an army bag. Another great thing you can get from army surplus is a bivvy bag. You can get them in large and regular. Well worth having, well worth having. Getting out the wind is major. If you can do that, you're going to elevate your core temperature very quickly. But there you go, that is a sleeping bag cover. Now, I don't use dedicated stuff sacks for sleeping bags. In the UK, your sleeping bag here just goes into your bivvy bag and then placed straight into your Bergen. Waterproof jacket, trousers, a sack to put them in, 2 parts of my softie. Go with a sleeping bag that suits you and you alone. Sleeping bags are personal to the individual. Tried Snug Pack on the strength of what other people have said. They have a joke temperature rating. The insulation is poor quality, it's overpriced. But that is only my opinion, it's not fact. An ability to make hot and cold drinks, other than the clothing that we'll come to last. That's the basis of what I would have in a bug out bag. It's all shelter and insulation and the ability to cook. They are the 3 primary things that are going to put you in good stead, is being well fed, well sheltered, and that's really it, isn't it? I mean, if you're eating well and you're warm and you're dry, I'd say you're in good shape. In my bug out bag, I have tooling, saws, spades and things like that to actually build a more permanent structure to live in. I only want to get through the first 10 days on kit. After that is wilderness living, where I'll be farming and growing crops. I need a good saw, a spade, cordage, a good cooking pot. So really the shelter and insulation will get me through the first 10 days. All my kit, whether it's camping, survival, bug out, wilderness, survival, living, shelter, insulation, all the way, every time. Only thing you haven't seen is hunting, trapping, fishing, things to sustain me in food, but over a long period of time, such as wilderness living. The softies, I'm not sure whether I would want to bring both parts either. Maybe just the jacket would do. Again, this type of dry bag is more like a waterproof stuff sack. Goes into my side pocket of the Bergen. It's always nice to have everything loaded pretty quick for a more rapid bug out if you can help it. At the moment my waterproofs are dry. I'm going to keep them dry. There's nothing worse than putting wet waterproofs on. I do bring both parts, top and bottom. Kind of pointless having one without the other. You may decide a poncho rather than a rain jacket. Obviously you've got more uses from it. It's performing double duty. I like my waterproof jacket. My MTP jacket and trousers take up a lot less space than this, so it does go to prove that over the years your kit is getting smaller and lighter, and yet the lads are still tailoring on extra pouches onto the Bergens, or even buying bigger literage of European Bergens. I say European, the Bergen is European, hence its name, Bergen. I'm not a big proponent or lover of bladders. I'd rather bottles, but there's no way I'm going to have a bladder with a Bergen. I'd have a bladder if I was to put that with a day sack, where the whole kit is a lot lighter, and forego the bottles. Right then, I did say I would show you my clothing allocation before we finish up on my dry set of clothing. Under the lid of the Bergen is a zip, foot care, okay, and wash kit. You should be able to get these rolls in your surplus store. The pouch, shaving mirror come signal mirror. So this is the extent of my British Army surplus wash kit. Obviously get everything bagged up is the issue towel, inside your shaving kit, toothbrush, everything you need, and get that back into that top hood. Okay, a spare set of clothing. You've got to have your wets, got to have your dries. Run through them very quickly. My wool jumper. Inside that, my green Norgie. Spare PCS trousers. I have your tabbing socks. Your operational socks. And these, well, like military issue trunks, and a Cool Max t-shirt. Now I just put all my clothing together like this, bring the arms and everything in, bring it into one pile. And the reason I pack clothing like this is often I will pack clothes vertical in the pack. Here I have the weight displaced on my back, the roll mat. Now this has been a quick tip, but I think anyone new to the channel within the last 6 months or so may have missed this tip. And you can see I've incorporated the air pad into the roll of the IXPE mat, this one here. And again, it's rolled together. And tie them off. Both of these components can be purchased from surplus. One is the BCB Bergen 3/4 length inflatable. This is just a standard army issue IXPE mat. it's not very good at insulating. I've tried it on its own down to 5 degrees Celsius and I hit a massive cold spot. I was shivering. It was an experiment to see if I could get away with just a bivvy bag, the mat and what I was wearing, and no fire to sustain me. I made it through till about 5 degrees. I got up, made a fire, so it didn't do too bad. But you are going to wake up cold without having the extra insulation. That is a different way of carrying it. An alternative is to take your inflatable out of the sack it comes with, just fold it into thirds and put it down the back of your pack. The amount of times I've used bash poles once, when I first had them. After that they got put away. I've never found a need for them. This is the side pouch here of the Bergen. Anything long like this gets stowed behind your pouches all the time. And by the way, if you are British infantry or cadet, you will need to get your sniper tape and tape the ends of these up. And that brings us to this top lid here, which is side access zip, and this is the shelter kit. It should consist of 10 18-inch bungee cords like that. I have 6. I've saved a bit of weight just by taking 4 out. I much prefer using cordage, actually. It's lighter and more compact, but again we are replicating British service as a bug out bag. The basher in DPM goes between 2 trees, and if you think about it now, I can get to a location like this. If it's raining, I can put on my rain jacket and my rain pants, and then I put up this rain shelter, so now I'm dry for a bit. I then dig into my Bergen and I get my bivvy bag out and get that on the ground. Some people put their roll mat down first and the bivvy bag on top. There's no right and wrong way, it's personal choice. So now I've got my rain gear on, I'm under my sleet sheet, I've got my bivvy bag on the ground, and I've put my sleeping bag in. If it's cold, I'm going to go to the side of my Bergen and I'm going to put my softy suit on. I have extra clothing I can put on, so now I'm warming up and I'm dry. If I'm wet, I take my wet gear off, put my dry gear on. Then I dig out something to eat, something to drink, fire up the stove, get some water on the go, think about having something to eat that's going to sustain me, warm me. That is only the basics of survival. You can see I'm dry, I'm warm, I'm well fed, I'm in good shape. Once my reserves start running out, the food that I brought with me, then I'm going to have to start thinking about fishing, hunting and trapping to gather food, as well as foraging. There's plenty here to forage. That is where an extra pouch or 2 on your Bergen would come in handy. So all this is absolute luxury. I prefer my hobo pack. It's a lot lighter, it has a few more bells and whistles, it's comfortable. It's something I can set up in an urban environment and hopefully nobody would know I was there. Okay, I do not do bug out bag loadouts because they're too personal for the individual. My requirements are not the same as yours. Yours aren't the same as mine. Bob, who walks the dog across a road, will have different requirements to Dora a few streets down. You can see it's a ridiculous logic to think we all have to have the same in the bag. There are people who have a lot of experience of outdoor wilderness survival, and they'll have a 25-litre pack with a different concept of survival. And the concept of their survival will be, I need to purify water so I can drink. I might have a couple of days food supply. I plan on building a fire at night to keep me warm, so I don't need a tent and I don't need a sleeping bag, and I don't need any clothes because I have the intention of returning home maybe in a couple of days or so. Those are survival bags, and with survival bags the knowledge comes first, the kit comes second. I think it's a dangerous little video people are putting out. Look how little I can get away with. Well, yeah, I could get away with a cigarette lighter in my pocket so long as I can, you know, make a fire and warm. You should avoid copying other people's survival and bug out bags. I think you should take ideas from it and adapt to your kit, but never copy. I mean, I have everything I need here and more. I can go a lot lighter than this. And I have. My actual bug out bag, like I said, is just a civilian pack with very, very lightweight kit in. My hobo kit is about half the weight of this. The bug out situation is only going to be personal to you. I have, on a couple of occasions, you know, I've had to be relocated into an urban environment, made homeless, and one of them occasions was for a long time, nearly a year, and I didn't have any of this, didn't have any of it. I just had the clothes I stood up in and very little access to money. That was 11 months of my life with nothing, so all this would have been absolute luxury. Your situation in which you're bugging out might only be unique for you, not a global cataclysm or Armageddon. It might just be personal to you. Most common one, getting kicked out by the missus, a divorce, something like that. Hopefully you can bunk down with your mates for a few days until you manage to get hold of some money and get yourself a bed and breakfast or rent a flat or an apartment. But that is how a lot of people start off homeless, and some people like that think there's an end date. And sometimes for some people there's not. Some people are bugged out either intentionally or unintentionally for years. People on the streets. Hard life. Okay, let's have a look at the weight of this, and remember there's very little in it really. There's shelter, insulation, there's a cook set, I have some spare clothing, there's not even my survival preps, my saws, my knives, the cordage, my fishing kit. There's nothing, just the basics. Let's get it weighed off. Okay, you need to be sitting down for this. 18.2 kilos, shelter, insulation, a cook set. It's ridiculous. My camping kit, shelter, insulation, a cook set. It's a tent, a ground pad, sleeping bag, change of clothes. 7 kilos. 11 kilos lighter. A lot of people think the way to go with bug out bags is to replicate an army, say the British Army or something like that, like this is replicating, and you can see just how heavy replicating something like that is. Okay, there's a lot of weight with this pack and its contents, so there's a part 2 to this coming up where I'll be transferring the exact same contents of this very pack into another 3 packs, and I'm not going to tell you which packs they are. But I want to see if there is a change in its comfort, how well it carries on the shoulders, because this is a pig. Sure, it'll carry a lot of weight, and you can put 100 kilos in there. Now go put it on your back, see how you like it now. Until next time, take care of yourself. Look out for the video coming up of the transfer of kit to a different pack. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you out there at the trails.